Thanks for staying with us. It's time for our parenting discussion. And this morning, joining us is Joy Abu. She's a certified broadcaster and child coach. She has a passion for and love for kids. And today we will be talking about dealing with mental health and depression in kids. You're welcome to
Thank
the
you
show.
very much.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Mental health and depression in kids. That's a very, very interesting one, I'd
Yes,
say,
it
because we have been so, we believe that mental health only affects adults.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see that, it actually also affects kids. Now, let's talk about that for a minute. How do you know, or how can you identify that a child has a mental health problem?
Okay, firstly, we are coming to the realization that mental health is really affecting kids, and it comes along with anxiety. And it's unfortunate that we've failed to realize that it's something that can be treated. Now, how do you observe kids? When you notice a kid who was suddenly very excited and all of that is withdrawn, then something is actually wrong somewhere. And then when you have kids that have this bipolar disorder, they tend to be paranoid always. So when you have kids who are over paranoid, don't take it like it's one of those things.
Okay, help us break down over paranoid,
okay,
or paranoia, as the case may be, because we're in, well, I wouldn't say it's peculiar to us here in this climate, but generally, when kids throw tantrum, we think, oh, they're just, it's just them being kids. And now you're saying to me that it could be a mental health
Yeah, it is
condition.
way beyond that.
Okay, please.
Now, this is it. When you have a toddler who is crying and throwing tantrums, you feel like, okay, it's because that's a toddler.
Yeah.
But then when it grows and develops with it, it's because that it gets higher. In fact, some go as far as scattering everywhere. At that point, you need to have a conversation and start looking deeper. That could be a case of mental bipolar disorder. And it's sad to say that depression and mental health is hereditary. Parents who have suffered depression through their lives tend to have kids who will be depressed at a very early stage. Wow. And we have between 7% of 13 to 17-year-old kids that suffer these things without parents knowing, statistically, without parents knowing, yes. And the percentage is really getting higher to 9.4. So it's really alarming. And we are not observing because we feel it's a normal thing. And you see a child who is withdrawn due to the crisis around the area and all of that. The environmental issues can lead this child to depression. So when a child is over paranoid, or when a child suddenly starts overeating, yes, surprisingly, yes. When you have a child who is overeating, something is eating that child up, and they have that conversation with that child. And then anxiety sets in from school.
Now let's talk about the sort of discussions that you begin to have with these children. Because in this regard, I feel that it's gone beyond parenting. It's also, everybody has a role to play,
exactly,
in dealing with this condition. So now let's talk to us about the first step to take after observing that this is a condition that needs to be dealt with. What's the first step to take as a parent or as a teacher or as a guardian?
The first thing is ask the child what is actually the problem. Why is this child reacting towards this direction? Why the sudden change? Let them express themselves without you judging them. Allow them talk to that point. Whatever they tell you at that point, let them have that confidence to talk to you about it. So it's a conversation of how are you? What is happening? Why are you this way? And then you're doing that in love. At that point, that's the very first thing you start with. From there, it will help you know whether it's something you can deal within the home front or you need an expert to come in and talk to that child. But firstly, make them feel comfortable around you with asking simple questions. How are you? Then you go as far as making them happy. Ask them, what makes you happy at this point?
Yeah, but now I'm listening to you, and I know very much that for a lot of families, communication is a problem, especially between the parents and the children. So first off, if when communication is a problem, you can't even communicate to your parents, I'm talking of the child now, that this is what I am going through. So how are you even able to bridge that gap? Or how are you even able to, bridge that gap between, with the communication gap there is already a gap. How do you bridge it
You know,
to get across to that child?
I'm always an advocate for conversation. And I keep telling parents, no matter how busy you are, don't run away from having a conversation with your kids. And, you know, we are in an era where kids don't want to talk to their parents because parents are going to judge them. So I used to tell parents, don't be judgmental. Whatever your kid tell you, don't be judgmental about it. So that they don't run to another person who will say, okay, don't worry, you know what, I'm here. So learn to have an open heart towards your kids. And when you discover that there's that lack of communication, first, you don't just jump into it. You start by buying their trust. And how do you do that? Play games.
Okay.
Talk other things. From there, one discussion leads to another. You don't just start asking sensitive questions from the blues. You start with how are you, how was school, and then that you build that communication. And it gets to that point where that child says, okay, now I can now talk to my parents, I can now tell them. And I used to tell parents, make sure you're your kid's best friend. They should be you should be their #1 fan. Whatever they are doing, whether they are getting it right or wrong, in place of where you're provoking and correcting them, do it with love. That's the way you can buy their trust. Because trust me, depression, and you know, kids that are depressed don't tend to talk to their parents. Yeah. Because they don't want to say something that you would snap back at them. And so they are trying to avoid talking to you, and it's eating them, and they don't know where to go to. So that's why I used to say conversation and communication is key.
Now that you've talked about the first step, what is the second
Now,
step?
the next step is you tend to ask them, okay, fine, now we've discovered this is it. If it's something you can deal within the home front, you deal with it. If it's not, talk to the child. I'm going to bring in an expert. I will take you to so-so person. This person will guide you through. And while you're doing that, make them understand that you're not doing it because they have a problem. You're doing it because you want the best for them. You're doing it because you want to see them a better person. So you're doing it in love. You're not doing it with anger of, okay, no. Let them realize that it's a problem, but not a big problem. To them, it's something that can be solved.
Now let's narrow it down to the people that we bring in to deal with this situation, because it's very easy to make it a religious matter.
Yes.
You're going to your pastor. My child is possessed. Evil spirits. You know, we parents are quick to, you know, be Africans in that thinking. Who are the people that we should seek, you know, to deal with?
That's why we have counselors in schools. And I used to say every school should have a counselor. First, talk to your school counselor. Talk to them, ask them, this child is having this challenge. This is what we need to do. And then they'll lead you through. And then you talk to experts. That's why we are here. That's why it's our job. That's why we are here.
And that's why you're on the Wake Up Nigeria show, highlighting this topic. Thank you so much, Joy, for this conversation. It's been very, very, very insightful.
Thank
you.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We'll have to go on a quick break now. The show continues shortly. Stay with us.